People often ask me what my favorite books are for pregnancy and birth and postpartum. My all-time favorite book ever is this one. It's called The Baby Sense Secret, and it's basically how to take care of your baby from a sensory perspective, meaning their nervous system. So it teaches you about the levels of arousal, if they're in calm alert, which is where we want them, which is where they're just looking around and they're happy and content, but they're not very alert. So it goes sleeping, calm alert, active alert, which is where they start like kind of moving their limbs around and really engaging, and we can think that's really fun, but especially in a very young baby, very quickly it can go to fussing and crying. So if your baby's within this first 6 weeks or so, we really want them in calm alert or sleeping as much as possible. The other thing that this book has in it that is one of my favorite things ever is a sleep chart. And it's just amazing how much babies need to sleep. But let's see if I can show you. So here's the sleep chart. The first 0 to 6 weeks, you can see a baby should not be awake for more than 45 minutes. And a lot of times people bring their babies to me because their babies are fussy and they think they want me to work on them. And so when I assess a baby, first of all, I figure out, is there something going on with the musculoskeletal or cranial system? And I can feel that with my body and touching their body. And then I often also think about their gut, and if their gut is happy, so I ask about, are they having regular bowel movements? And then the third thing is just, are they overstimulated? Because if you don't know about your baby's sensory system very well, they might just be overstimulated. And the thing with babies is sleep begets sleep. And I didn't believe that really until my second baby, but it's true. If your baby is sleeping during the day, they'll just sleep better at night. They'll be more calm. It's amazing. So, a baby, 6 to 17 weeks really shouldn't be awake much more than an hour. I mean, that goes really fast. So I have the parents that come in, I'll have them set an alarm on their phone, and at 45 minutes or a half hour, if the baby's under 6 weeks, have a little ding go off, and you start getting that baby back to sleep. An infant sleep cycle is about 45 minutes. And so you want to make sure they're sleeping at least 45 minutes. If they're not sleeping 45 minutes, that is a real sign that that they're overstimulated and then they just cannot calm down. So then you have to do whatever you can do to get at least a 45-minute sleep cycle. So if you put them in a carrier and wear them, and if that's the only way you start getting that sleep cycle, that's okay. As they get older, and even a lot of infants, you want to see them linking the 45-minute sleep cycles. So you want to see them going 1.5 hours at least, or 2 hours and 15 minutes kind of thing. And it's funny because even when we used to drive, when my kids were little in the car, I would notice what time they fell asleep in their car seats, and I would know when the 45-minute was. And if we could keep the other kids in the car quiet and keep the car quiet at that 45-minute, often they would link into the next sleep cycle. But heaven forbid we had to stop at a stoplight, or one time at a train crossing. Well, game over, right? Oftentimes the kid will come up to a light sleep at that 45 minutes and they'll be awake. So with a sensitive baby, when they're overstimulated, a lot of things can overstimulate them, including even eye contact. So my second baby was so sensitive, and he would get so overstimulated that literally when I nursed him, I couldn't look at him. And that was such a strange thing because it's too much for him. It's such a strange thing because you would think that eye contact and engagement would really be something that would calm a baby, and it can with certain well-adjusted, sensorily sophisticated babies. But when you have a really sensitive baby, sometimes what you need to do is just not look at him, or even put a little blanket over when they're nursing. Those babies do really great with swings, because swinging motion calms the vestibular nervous system. Also being held with pressure. There's a lot of things that really can calm the nervous system, because basically when a baby's born, their nervous systems aren't developed. So especially that first 3 months, we really need to kind of regulate them. There's no regulation for their system, and you'll notice that they don't even have any sort of regular patterns till 4 to 6 months. and then they might start sleeping on a regular nap schedule, things like that. But those first 3 months especially are just sort of a crap show, really. And so, go easy. Try not to draw conclusions about yourself as a mother or yourself as a father or your baby, because everybody's just getting to know each other. People there, you guys are all getting adjusted to each other, and you're getting to know like how you all work together. So if the baby's really sensitive, maybe the best thing is to do a swaddle, which will give that deep pressure. I'm a big fan of swaddling. I'm also a big fan of pacifiers, because the baby's going to need to pacify anyway. So you might as well have it not be your nipple or your finger to let them suck, because sucking is the number one thing that calms a baby. And actually, research has shown that even adults are calmed by pressure on their palate. It affects the vagus nerve, which is a cranial nerve that regulates how we feel in the world and how we can socially engage. So it's actually pretty brilliant, this sucking. So a pacifier is great if your baby will take it, because then you give them the skills to self-pacify, which is really important, because I think as parents, we can't protect our children from the world, but what we can do is give them tools to help them learn how to modulate themselves and just kind of take care of themselves the best they can in this world. And so pacifier, swaddle, and then my sensitive baby, my middle son, really needed a swing for that swinging motion. And so literally he would get so overstimulated he couldn't even nurse. And so I'd swaddle him, swaddle a pacifier. How I swaddle a baby too is you can swaddle their little hands up like this. And I love the little summer swaddles, the one with Velcro. You can get them in a lot of places in a little 3-pack. And you put them in there and you swaddle their little hands up, because they try to soothe themselves. They're trying to suck on their fingers. That's what they were doing in utero, probably sucking on their thumb. But little babies can't find their hands. And so I would just swaddle the pacifier in his mouth, put him in the swing. And he slept in that thing, until I want to say he was about 1. We went through probably like 4 swings, and we even brought him to the beach. We had this little Fisher-Price lamb one, and it went like this. Probably have a picture somewhere of him in it. And there's all these shoulds, right? Like you shouldn't have a pacifier in your baby's mouth for more than 20 minutes. You're going to ruin their palate or their teeth or something. Yes. And I also feel like helping a baby develop a calm nervous system is just as important, at least for those first, 6 to 12 months. And then your baby really, at that point, their little skulls are so pliable. I mean, they're so cartilaginous and they're so mobile. I'm just not worried about it. And I even do cranial work. I feel like more important is to teach them how to just be calm in the world and how to rest. I always tell the kids that come in here is you need to rest. That's when your brain grows. That's when everything cleans out in your body. And it's true with babies too. So these sensitive babies, particularly, it's important that they're sleeping. And so kind of whatever you can do to get them sleeping, and it's a tight sleep schedule. If you really pay attention to that one that I showed at the beginning of this video, you're going to be feeling like they're sleeping all the time, and they really should be. And that's a great gift to give them and to give yourself, because then hopefully you can rest a little bit, and then you can be a happier mommy or daddy, and your kid can be happier. So there's some thoughts for you on parenting the sensitive baby and my favorite parenting book. Take care.